I do want to talk about the Righteous Gemstones Season 4 on HBO. So the premiere episode hit last night. I think it's called Prelude, right? So episode 1 of Season 4, the final season of Gemstones. This news was released about a month ago that it would be the final season. So kind of unfortunate. I've shared my thoughts on that in another video. On the channel, actually, if you want to hear my thoughts. But anyways, it is the final season, and so this episode, very fitting to go back and see who the first gemstone was, right? The first Eli gemstone, if you will. And yeah, what an episode of TV. Like, I will say it wasn't like insane to me. It wasn't like the best episode that Gemstones has ever done, anything like that. But what a swing. Like for this episode, right? For Danny McBride, to write and direct this episode. And obviously the elephant in the room, Bradley Cooper being the star of this episode is absolutely insane. And I did talk about that. I can't remember what video that was now, but I did mention that in the channel. I had read some rumors online. I think I was actually like people who worked on the show as crew kind of leaked this information that Bradley Cooper could be in the season of Gemstones. But I never thought it would be like this. I thought for sure it would just be kind of a cameo, maybe a couple scenes in an episode, and him playing this kind of like, crazy character in this Gemstones world that Danny McBride would write for him. And I was completely wrong, right? Like, this is the complete opposite of what I was expecting. So yeah, I had a hint that Bradley Cooper was in the show, but to see him like this, and I will say, I'm just a little disappointed that we didn't get that version of Bradley Cooper. I thought he was really great in this episode, don't get me wrong. But I was kind of hoping that we would get more of kind of like an unhinged, if you've seen Licorice Pizza, the film from, Paul Thomas Anderson, right? A few years ago, he was in that and has, about almost like 10 minutes of screen time in the film. And he's unbelievably funny, like just absolutely hilarious and playing just like the unhinged, just crazy person basically, and just leaning fully into the comedy. And that's kind of exactly what I expected him to do here, and I thought it would be so great, and maybe he has some scenes with Danny McBride and they could play off each other. I just saw some really great potential. So it doesn't look like we're going to get that, but what we did get is amazing. I mean, what an episode of TV. It's just amazing. Like, Bradley Cooper was great. I mean, there was still a lot of great comedic moments in this episode for sure. It was nice to see Josh McDermott, Eugene from Walking Dead, there in the beginning of the episode, and to see him sharing the screen with Bradley Cooper was surreal. I mean, that's crazy. But anyway, so yeah, it's just a really great episode. Obviously not much to do with the actual show and our main characters of Judy and Jesse and Kelvin and Eli and everybody, but just a really fascinating episode. And this is something that I always want to give Danny McBride and Jody Hill, David Gordon Green, and his writing team credit for, is these big swings, right? They do it almost basically every season. Maybe not quite this big of a swing, but every season they do swings like this that it's like, you just don't see this on any other television shows on the air within the last 5 years, right? Or however long Gemstones has been on. You even want to go back to Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals. They just deserve so much credit for taking these swings, and I think it really paid off in this episode. The directing here, so actually really great shots of kind of the action going on, and and then just a kind of a good redemption kind of story at the very end of the episode I thought was really good. And it perfectly captures what the Gemstones are, right? Is these people who are kind of conniving, cut some corners here and there. But at the end of the day, they are good people, and they have that kind of seed of goodness in them. And so I think that just perfectly captures that, the first gemstone, right? The first Eli gemstone was exactly that. I mean, he fits that exact mold, and that kind of explains why they are the way that they are today. So, just a great episode of TV. Definitely, I would expect to see it, at the end of the year when I talk about my favorite episodes. I know it's early to say that, but I could see it definitely being in the conversation.